Hello and welcome everyone to All Things Money. I'm your host Fatima Attarwala, and with me today is CEO of NIBAF Pakistan, Mr. Riaz Chunara. NIBAF Pakistan is a leading training institute for business and finance professionals under SVP. Today our purpose is to talk about the banking arts. But first, sir, would you please tell us what is NIBAF Pakistan, what role does it play in the economy?
Thanks, Fatma. NIBAF is newly created. NIBAF Pakistan is a newly created organization. There were earlier two institutions, Institute of Bankers Pakistan and National Institute of Banking and Finance, and it merged together to make capacity building, a regional center of capacity building in banking and finance in Pakistan. So that's what our objective is, and that's why we are created.
So what role does the banking awards play in your objectives, and who are your partners in this?
So banking award is very core and critical. As you know, that financial intermediary in any of the country economic policies is very core to make sure that people money are secured and what they are invested in and how they are working, and money to organize the money flow. So this is one of the area where the economy plays a big role in terms of monetary expansion and contraction. Pakistan Banking Award, the objective of Pakistan Banking Award is to make sure that we cover those areas where we would like the central bank as a state bank wants them to work on those areas. They want to intervene in those areas and excel in those areas. So we do appreciate whatever good things are being done by the bank because they are one of the core principles, and that's why we have categorized award in such a way that they can work towards achieving the objective, a macro objective in the economy of Pakistan.
And who are your partners in achieving these goals?
So our partners, it's Dawn. Dawn Media is one of our partner, and we have got a knowledge partner, A. Ferguson, and then NIBAF Pakistan is working together with these two organizations. We have got a jury, an independent jury, which works for this award, and that jury, the information is provided to them, and they are the final decision maker of how the award and to whom the award will be given.
So what is the process? Because banks are generally seen as the bad guy, not the good guy, the one who's making all the profits. But as you explained to me, these awards focus on areas that banks are generally not inclined to go to, but that is part of the overarching aim, like SMEs and women inclusion. So what is the process for choosing the banks that are achieving these goals?
So the banks, the process, what happens is that we have got a criteria. We have got the strategic plan of 2028. This year, especially for State Bank, has got a 2028 vision and a strategic plan. Based on those, we prepared a criteria that these are the targets which central bank has set it for us, and this is what the banks are supposed to do. So based on that criteria, we have formed that what type of the award categories as well as the criteria based on which the award is judged. So the process is initially we ask for all the information from all the banks, and then once they provide those informations, it is analyzed by A. Ferguson. They are also looking at a macro picture. So if we talk about an area of agriculture, they are also looking at what happened exactly, what the overall situation is for agriculture lending in Pakistan, and then they go to the individual and they match it against those things. And then against the performances, and there's this different criteria of how much innovation you have brought in product development, what type of products you have launched, what type of lending you have made, what type of number of clients you are serving. So you're not serving only 2-3 big clients, you're serving a majority of the clients. So those types of interventions are checked. And this is an area, it's much more easier to invest in government bonds, but it's very difficult to actually do the lending and take the risk and then be creative and innovative. Banking innovation is going very fast nowadays. I think that is an area where all the banks have to work and then come up with what unique values they have added to make sure that this award can be given to them. So that's one of the criteria which we used.
What are the different categories of awards?
So I'll start with the new category which has been introduced this year is women inclusiveness. Women inclusiveness has been emphasized by Government of Pakistan as part of National Financial Inclusive Program, as well as Central Bank, State Bank being a part of this strategic plan. So this is a new criteria compared to the inclusiveness earlier we were talking about. So these, together with that, the focus areas are SME banks. So there's an award for best SME bank. There's an award for best agriculture bank which have blended to the bank agriculture. Microfinance is another area. So it's a best microfinance bank. Then we talk about two other things. One is a digital excellence, and is the consumer satisfaction, that how much they have satisfied the consumer. Culmination of these two, all these awards then goes into two awards. One is the emerging bank, which is normally from the second tier bank. So which are the banks which are emerging in these areas, and the top one is the best bank, because it's very difficult for the emerging banks, which is not in the top tier bank, to compete. That's why we have got another category for emerging banks. So that's how the award structure is.
So the best bank award, does it cover all the categories? Like it's ranked high in most of the categories?
Precisely. That covers all the categories which has been defined. So how much they've worked in each area, and how then we can say that this is the best bank out of it. Obviously, there are certain niche areas where individual banks would have performed. So they would have probably performed in one of the area, but this is when we are talking about an overall award, we are looking at all the areas together.
So the best bank would have good women inclusion rates, it would be lending to small businesses, it would have good agri credit. So the best bank would be the one which will actually be doing the most for the economy and not just for its main stakeholders.
That's right. Obviously, stakeholders are also important.
Of course,
but we need to understand the stakeholder includes depositors and includes everybody in Pakistan, because they are serving everybody.
So when we talk about women inclusion, I mean, in our economy, in our society, it's very patriarchal. Women are not allowed to hold accounts or debit cards or credit cards. So could you give me an example of what innovative products are there that can increase women inclusion, and why is it important? Why should women have bank accounts?
So there are two elements, even for the housewife and for the working females as well. A lot of banks have come up with various innovative products which actually approaches the bank, even in terms of like agri-financing, let's say, financing to a livestock. So a lot of times it was seen that, the front can be female, but it's not the back. At the back there are male involved. But banks are now coming up with more innovative products because we want woman-centric. So a lot of these shops, these small and medium scale women entrepreneurs are coming up. Now, women entrepreneur is something which we have been focusing a lot. So this award is not only focusing towards their products, so the type of products, the innovation they have brought in the products, it's also that how much inclusiveness of female are there in their workplace. So what type of branches are serving, are they serving the female? Because they have to be female centric. Either they are all even male branches, they have to be somebody who should specialize in serving the female. The problems, the issues, the challenges are different. So we need to understand, we need to be cognizant of the fact we are living in a country where there are lots of challenges. So they should feel very comfortable in either approaching the bank or coming to the bank. So that is an area where a lot of banks are working, and this award basically will go to the best person who have worked for inclusiveness of female by the bank.
Now, this is so important. As we know that when women are empowered, they can empower generations to come. So the bank that is working towards women empowerment is actually empowering generations. And obviously, if a mother, a wife, the daughter-in-law, if she has access to finances, she can educate her children better. She can access better nutritional choices. So overall, women empowerment and a bank that contributes to women empowerment would be a huge asset to society. But other than that, the other categories such as SMEs, we have a very big informal economy, and most of the businesses in the informal economy are SMEs. I mean, loan sharks is a huge problem. So a bank working towards SMEs would also be vital, no?
So let me just work on the female inclusiveness. One of the issues we were actually looking at it when female became empowered, because a lot of female were not productive for the society. So in that way, a lot of and a lot of females say that we cannot go out and do the jobs. So you can get some entrepreneurship within your area where you can work, where your families allow you to work, and they feel more comfortable. And they are then empowered. With money, obviously, you have got a lot more empowerment and self-sufficiency to serve your your family, to work with your family, and you have that independence, which is very core and important. So I agree with the female empowerment. Let's come to the other area. Now, SME, obviously you have to work with more innovative products. Nowadays, the banks are more working on cash flows. So they are working on what proposals they have, what type of history do you have. So the credit scoring, the credit history, they are coming up with different ideas, they are coming up with more innovative products. Nowadays, information can be available through various sources. So the banks can actually pitch in those products based on the information available and based on the credit they can lend, based on the risk they can take. So the risk appetite is much more higher if they've got more information, better information. And with so much digitalization going on, there are so many areas, either in terms of e-commerce also, you can see a lot of females selling their products. So based on their ratings, based on their customer feedbacks, based on how they have performed in the previous lending, small lendings, you can even give them bigger lendings. You can give them better approaches. So if you talk about a startup, not only a big startup, we are talking about small organization, small setups which they are creating. If you are creative, if you are innovative, I'm sure that the banks are there to lend, the banks are there to support, and a lot of banks have got those products to support that. So earlier they were all looking at some subsidized financing. Obviously, subsidized financing is not the only area. They should be making sure that they are productive, they are contributing at par with the market. So that's what we try and aim towards in the SME section. And a lot of banks are working towards that in this sector, and they have come up with very good innovative products to serve their customer, including like credit scoring of those people. They can lend even unsecured or based on your cash flow lending, based on the previous history, based on your criteria, because there's a lot of things monitored now through digital ways.
So through SME banking, you're also indirectly promoting digitization as well as a formal economy, because obviously if they're lending to banks, then they are on the books. If they're on the books, then they have to pay taxes, and then it generally does well for the government and for the economy as a whole.
That's right. So SME is not restricted towards only digital areas, but digital, I agree with you that digital is one of the area which does a lot of miracles in terms of assessment of lending. Exactly. Because if you have got those informations available, then that's right, that is an area. But we have got another award with the name of Digital Excellence. Now that is focusing towards what type of consumer experience you are giving. What type of, if you either use smartphones or use normal phones, or if you use conventional phones, or if you use digital modes, online or Android and web-based applications. So what type of information you can get it. Nowadays, even a lot of banks have introduced WhatsApp banking. So you can do a lot of transactions based on WhatsApp and media like that. Obviously, security is one of the elements which needs to be covered, but that's an area. So how much experience you are giving on a digital media instead of a conventional. Nowadays, nobody waits for a statement. They know their balances. They can check from their either phones or internet or whatever services they've got. So that's another criteria of award, which is on digital exchange.
So another area that I understand that you have focused on in the awards is agricultural lending. So in a highly agrarian economy where RTs are the most common mode of lending, so there is also an award that incentivizes lending to small farmers.
So a lot of banks are now working with alternative models. Like a couple of banks are even working with marketplaces, where they are trying to bring all the stakeholders together. They are trying to bring the seed provider, they are trying to bring the fertilizer provider, the pesticides provider. And a lot of times the banks do finance for these inputs based on the condition that this is a buyer and he's going to buy based on a condition. Obviously, there are reinsurance and all those things also done to make sure that the bank is covered. But now banks are coming up with more innovative product. The other area in agriculture is actually organic agriculture, which has got a premium of 10 to 20% internationally. A lot of export-based material or the import organizations in either Europe or in US now are asking for a certification with regard to they being organic. Giving you an example of textile, a lot of organizations are asking that are they made from an organic crop, and they are structured in such a way that they have followed the guidelines of sustainable goals. and they have not misused the labor, there's no child labor involved. So these criteria are helping in determining those lending. So there is a premium attached to that as well. So a lot of banks are focusing towards that premium, creating that marketplace so that we can create that environment where a bank can lend. So this is there are more innovations coming in the agriculture side as well. A lot of banks are working with this supply chain financing or the marketplace financing and working together. So if the farmer, a small farmer cannot pay, there should be ways in which they can be facilitated so that they cannot get rid of Aarti, but they can minimize the use of Aarti and use a formal type of lending instead.
And this would also boost exports because organic farming, organic cotton, sustainability, all buzzwords. The international customers, our markets in UK, US, Europe, they want products like this. So with banks being incentivized to lend for these product lines would have a very positive impact on exports, I would assume.
That's right. So a lot of international work is going on. COP29 has just finished in Baku. But this is an area where now international bodies are thinking that how to make this as a standard and how we can actually ensure that the carbon emission is reduced and minimized over a period of time. So there are a lot of rules and regulations coming in all types of, including banking. That will come in banking in due course of time as well, just like FATF laws, which is against anti-money laundering and terrorist financing. Such laws will be a normal norm after a couple of years. So we have to be prepared for that area. I think this is something where this can encourage exports, but it's not only for export; it's also for the local market. A lot of local customers now are getting geared up that if we are buying an organic farm, that is good for our children. So I think that's why even there is a local market which has to change and which will change over a period of time based on all the health issues which a lot of people are facing.
Absolutely. And what really fascinates me about the banking awards is that you go to these conferences, you go to these events, and people are like sustainability and waste management. There's a lot of talk. But the banking awards are based on actual actions and the output of those actions. So it's not just talk, it's not just buzzword, it's not just a press conference or a photo op. It's actions that have impacted, and you only get the award if you have brought that impact around.
That's right.
And it also paints banks as a different, right? It's just not banking to the government and boosting your bottom line. This is how you can help the underprivileged, the niche sectors that need the most help.
That's right.
Right.
And not necessarily a lot of times, a lot of them don't need subsidies. Even if you talked about loan sharks or you talked about Aartis, you look into their margins are much more higher than what the commercial banks are offering. So I'm sure that to bring inclusiveness, which is very, very important. So not only that inclusiveness, we should look into each and every side of the society to bring them into the banking fraternity, and I'm sure that this overall banking award is trying to help towards that.
So the banking awards are how the big guys can help the little guys, and that it is their responsibility to do so. And this is under the ambit of SBP so that it aligns with the good vision and the goals that the State Bank has for the country as a whole. That's right. So that's where the awards come from.
That's right. So that's the whole objective. The initial idea when the award came about was that we should actually appreciate the financial institutions who are working towards that, because there are a lot of good things going on in the market, but we don't appreciate that. We have got so many bad news, but we should have something who is doing something good. We should appreciate that. We should promote that. So that is one of the objective of bringing in the award. That's you're right in that.
Yeah. So NIBAF Pakistan is there, and who are your other partners, and what role do they play in this process?
So we have got A. Ferguson, who is actually a knowledge partner, and they are the people who get all the numbers, and based on their analysis, they prepare it. Obviously, jury is one of the core element who actually analyze it, and Dawn Media is our media partner, which actually works with us, promotes such things, and we appreciate Dawn Media for promoting such a type of for award, which is very, very important for this country.
So, and what is the jury and the selection process? So, for example, I'm a bank, I want to win the Women Empowerment Award. What do I have to do to get the award, and what would be the criteria?
So if what we happens that we circulate to the banks, all the banks that these are the criteria and these are the awards for this year. Then the banks actually provide us those information. Based on those information, it is analyzed by A. Ferguson. The jury is normally composed of all senior bankers. They are central as well as commercial bankers involved in that. It is headed by Salim Raza. Salim Raza is a commercial banker for a very long time, and then he had been governor of central bank as well. Seema Kamil has been in the industry for a long time as well. She was a deputy governor at central bank. Then we have got other key players like Naveed Khan. Then we have got Zilaf Munif, who is the English Biscuits CEO. So Zilaf Munir is one of the female representative and an independent, because they are the customers of the bankers as well. Then we have got Shahid Sattar, he is also a senior banker, and then we have got Shahzad Dada, who's just retired from the bank, so he was available. And so these are the juries, these are senior bankers who have seen their banking go in various ways. So when they are analyzing, they've got that experience.
No doubt, they're all very big heavyweights in the industry and very popular within the industry with massive experience. So I'm really looking forward to the banking awards and to see which bank is able to achieve so many goals that you have outlined.
Right. So the award is on 29th of November. So inshallah, looking forward, if the awards will be announced. I'm sure that jury is working on that to make sure that they finalize the names and everything, so that the awards can be provided on 29th of November.
Thank you so much for coming over here, Mr. Chunara, and thank you so much for explaining the entire banking award process.
Thank you very much for inviting.
Thank you.